Did you know the resources where you live could be disrupted at any moment, causing chaos almost immediately? Well, let me show you what's happening today. Let's begin by taking a look at recession. This is what everybody is talking about. It's happening for more than one reason. You've got the central banks, you've got the supply chain, and of course you have commodity prices and inflation. Goldman CEO David Solomon says inflation is deeply entrenched in the global economy. Well, according to Jerome Powell and our friends at the Federal Reserve, they said that they promised it wouldn't become entrenched. So now that is one factor, the central banks. But what else is happening today? I thought this was incredibly important and I wanted to discuss this. Exclusive. Russia's Gazprom tells European buyers gas supply halt is beyond its control. Russia's Gazprom has told its customers in Europe it cannot guarantee gas supplies because of, quote, extraordinary circumstances. So you see this going on. Some would say this is being done to ratchet up the pressure on the West. Russia's saying, look, you had problems with us. You stopped us from doing this. You stopped us from doing that. We're having trouble keeping up to our side of the agreement. So it depends on, what information you want to look at, what you want to acknowledge. But, there's always going to be two sides to any story. The Russian state gas monopoly said in a letter from June 14th that it was retroactively declaring force majeure on supplies from June 14th. The news comes as Nord Stream 1, the key pipeline from Russia to Germany, is going I talked about this before, but the 10 days of annual maintenance. Now, this is scheduled maintenance. It's not as if suddenly they need to do maintenance. It's coming at a critical time, though, and many individuals have said, what if they don't start this back up? Are they going to turn off the taps? And it looks like they're kind of hinting towards that actually happening. The letter added to fears in Europe that Moscow may not restart the pipeline at the end of the maintenance period in retaliation for sanctions. Known as an act of God clause, force majeure is standard in business contracts and defines extreme circumstances that release a party from their legal obligation. The declaration does not mean that Gazprom will stop the deliveries, rather that it should not be held responsible if it fails to meet the contract terms. Okay, hope you understood what we're talking about here, how serious this is. I've shown you so many charts before. Just think about how reliant Europe is on Russia, and now we're going to stop. Just the suggestion of that is a problem, a big problem. Now, we may not necessarily see that reflected in the price immediately, as I'll show you in a couple minutes, but it does have an impact on individuals when you look at it. Why? Because the price of oil, let's say, it's based on these futures contracts. You look at the price and then you look at what you pay for gasoline and you see what's happening around the world. And sometimes it just doesn't make sense. But there's much more going on. So let's dig in, okay? EU signs new gas deal as fears grow over Russian supplies cutoff. Russia has denied that it is using gas as a weapon against the West. However, supplies have fallen by more than 60% in recent weeks. So you see this here, talking about different countries, as in Azerbaijan, and basically just saying they started exporting natural gas to Europe. They're doing this, of course, and this should have been done a long time ago. Why would you want to be? If you don't trust this country, if you say this country's doing bad things, why are you then, so heavily reliant on that one country for something so important to keep the lights on? Okay, look, Russian natural gas flowed to the European Union from January 2019 up until present day. And the trend is clearly in. Now, the most recent data probably shows, I don't know if it accounts precisely for what taking this offline, the Nord Stream 1, but regardless, we are seeing that this has been going down. They should have started to diversify their means, right? Looking at this. Lack of water in Europe's most important river starts to bite. The problems that we have today are not just about oil and gas in Russia. They're going on all over the place. We are seeing different areas drying up. The flow of commodities to inland Europe is starting to buckle as water level on the Rhine River continues to fall. The lack of water is contributing to oil product supply problems in Switzerland. So let me show you. I think I have the map right here. You can see this for yourself. You see, it comes from all the way up the north, comes all the way through Germany down to Switzerland. And what happens if you can't bring the boats across? Well, now they got to do something else. They got to bring it across another means. So seeing that right now, creating this issue, you will watch the prices, the disruption, the supply chain, the inflation all continue. But it's, although we're seeing it broad-based, in some elements here, you're going to see it localized. It's going to be worse in one place than another. And what about this? TC Energy in Canada has declared force majeure on its Keystone crude pipeline system, affecting shipments from Canada to the US. A notice sent to shippers says a power outage at a South Dakota pump station has disrupted the pipeline and is under investigation. So in conjunction with that information, we have this. According to Bloomberg, power outage. The temperatures topped 100 degrees Fahrenheit on Monday. There's an issue there. But what happens? Now the gas isn't flowing. Now the stuff's not flowing. The crude oil, isn't flowing. And that's going to create more and more headache, more and more price increases. So this is oil. Let's look at the most recent data. I just refreshed it at the time of this recording anyway. WTI crude at $102 a barrel. And you look at natural gas, 7.4. So this is just showing us that, disruptions here or there are not necessarily going to have a direct impact right away, but each and every one of these is adding up. Now, nuclear power is something that many have said we need to do more of. We need to get this. It's clean, it's green, it's mean, it's fantastic, okay? But there's a lot of talk on both sides of this all. Regardless, you see in this case here, the countries that are reliant on nuclear power, look at it. France, 69%, and they want to close more down. What does that mean? Oh, we'll just, have that coal. Oh, we'll just have that Russian crude, Russian gas, whatever it might be. What are these countries doing when they don't have an actual plan in place to replace these things? That's just, if you want to get rid of it, that's fine, but have a plan in place. Don't just say, oh, Russia's going to do it all. And then you have a problem like this today. They got to be smarter about their activities and start planning, not just, the next season. They got to be planning this 20 years down the road, but they're not doing that. Anyway, food may be the ultimate weapon in the 21st century. This strangling of Ukraine shows how agricultural insecurity can be used to foment geopolitical chaos. For anybody who is aware of all of this, I talked about this many, many years ago on my channel. Food is a weapon. I'm not allowed to discuss that, but anyway, just looking at this, and you will see what happens to the food prices. That's really what I care about. It isn't, futures prices and all of these different things. It's what people pay. And we have, food instability, insecurity, and these issues here seem to be piling up when Ukraine isn't allowed to export certain things or couldn't export certain things. That has an impact on so many different countries. Okay, so now they're seeking other buyers, but if other buyers are buying up those, then it sends the price up, it sends the availability down, inflation. Okay. California idle cropland may double as water crisis deepens. Looking at the situation here, they're basically leaving so much of the land empty because they can't water it. I mean, this is a very serious situation. This is what I've been telling people for years. In your own circumstances, If you can, harvest water. Harvest that water as much as you can. Even if it's just to water your vegetables, it is a wise idea. And this right here, I wanted to finish off because I think is really important, okay? For decades, US households bailed out the global economy when it needed a consumer of last resort. America's latest spending spree has come with a sting in the tail. Stuck at home, people all over the world bought more goods, TV sets, laptops, and so on. The shift was significantly bigger in the US than other countries, and you could see the spending here, right? Goods and services down significantly because the restaurants closed and all that. But you look at the goods, people were buying a lot of stuff, there's no doubt. So the US had purchased much more, it looks like. But essentially what we're having here is what I talked about in the video previous to this one, which in my opinion, not enough people saw. And it was about the US dollar. And the US dollar is in a circumstance right now that we haven't seen this in a long time. It's very, very strong. It seems to be getting stronger. Money is flooding in. And it's going to be very difficult for the Federal Reserve to simply stop their increasing interest rates and the quantitative tightening if, in fact, we've got the same situation going on. So I really do wonder what's going to happen here. I'm paying attention. I'm keeping an eye on it. And if you want to keep an eye on it too, all you got to do is hit that like button, hit that thumbs up, because that notifies the algorithm that this is the good stuff, that this is what you want to know more about. Okay, it's going to help to train that algorithm. At the same time, you help the channel out. Look, if you want to join 283,000 subscribers, I highly recommend you do so. Every single day I bring out the latest, the greatest information from all over the world. So I hope you'll join us here. And don't forget to comment. This is a very like-minded group of people. So I want to thank you for being here today. I'll see you on the next one. Take care.